Welcome to Forecast News, the place where we decrypt, enlighten, and deep dive into all things crypto and blockchain. I'm Angie Lau, and I am here with 100X Advisors, started by...
Hi, my name is Ian Belina.
Joined by...
Hugo Ndwagaba.
And Diego Lara, Managing Partner at 100X Advisors.
Diego, Hugo, Ian, 100X Advisors. How did this all start, Ian?
So me as an influencer and investor in this space, I'm investing in lots of projects, but I also have lots of projects that come to me wanting me to advise them. And after a while, we had a project come to us that came through Diego. And I said, you know what, like you guys are definitely helping me out by initially screening these projects. Let's make this an official team, right? Because they're kind of behind the scenes helping filter out the projects with me that I would end up advising. And I want to kind of have a formal process, but also really have a bigger team helping me with advising projects, right? Because one man can't do everything, right? So I definitely understand the value of my team and wanted to kind of make that official.
How long have you guys known each other?
Me and Hugo over 10 years.
Okay.
Diego over 1 year.
All right. So how did you guys meet? Hugo, how did you meet this guy? Did he just call you up and say, this crypto place is blowing up, we gotta go? Or how did that actually happen?
That's kind of how we got into business. But I would say we met freshman year in college in George Washington University, Summers Hall, played soccer together. We actually met in chemistry class.
Okay.
And kind of did some study sessions together. So that's how we became friends. We were friends before crypto.
So you had chemistry in chemistry.
In chemistry.
Okay, got it.
Absolutely.
And what was your space before you joined up with Ian? What was your day job?
My day job was I was a senior financial analyst for an oil and gas company, but I also dabbled in some private ventures. I had actually an Amazon business with Ian, and I also had some houses that I rented out on Airbnb, as well as I did some car rentals. So I was kind of always busy doing things. So when crypto came along, it was a natural transition for me.
What was it about crypto for an entrepreneur, for a risk taker, for a hustler?
Right.
Taking a look at this crypto space and saying, yeah, I want to participate. What got you there?
Initially, just doing the initial screening, learning about the technology and how I can see that it could be the new internet. And I wasn't around there in the dot-com boom, so I felt like this was our chance. And just being a numbers guy trading, when I saw the returns that Ian was making, it was just natural for me. I didn't ask questions. I had to dabble in a little bit. And I think the little hustling and all those things that I did kind of made it easy to have some income to be able to just kind of play with.
So basically, because you worked hard, because you did your own businesses, you created your own little nest egg that you were then willing to take and risk in this industry.
Absolutely.
The payoff has been what for you? Has it been more educational? Has it been financial returns? What has it been for you?
It's been both. It's been both. It's been great financial returns, great education. I've met so many people that I've learned a lot from, built a great network from our travels and everything. So it's been a great learning experience. It's been great financial return, and I'm looking forward to the future of what blockchain will become. And I'm excited every day being in this space.
Diego, how did you meet these guys?
So I actually met Ian through a former colleague of his at IBM. I was working on my own business back in Miami. This was about a year and a half ago, a little bit over a year and a half ago. I came across his content and immediately I was sucked in by his knowledge, right? I saw the ROIs, and then it just kind of happened naturally.
So now this team of 3 is 100X Advisors. Why the name? Explain the name.
So,
If it's not self-explanatory, obviously.
so I kind of became a very big name in crypto for getting 100x returns. Specifically in December, we had 2 projects backed in the same month get 100x returns. And in crypto, at that time, it was kind of unheard of to consistently get those kind of returns. Because in a space where 80% of the projects really have no business even being on a blockchain, and for the most part, lose your money, for us to consistently, using data and analytics and token metrics, almost have 80% of our results be wins and big investments, was just kind of, for us, really a way to just kind of pay ode to that.
Okay, but what value add do you actually bring to projects?
Right, so we have about 11 different services we offer. right? From helping them raise capital to helping them gain global awareness with branding, marketing, and also helping them build a community, right? Then more importantly, really the partnerships and connections we have from our Crypto World Tour.
Wouldn't the critics say that you're actually building a market for these projects that are artificial and then just
I wouldn't
trade
really
in on
say
your
that.
trade on your profile?
Because if that was the case, these projects would lose money. Because my philosophy is the market, right? And you can't really affect that. You can short term, but long term you can't, right? And the fact that the projects we've picked have ended up doing well, even post ICO, and even 1 year after the ICO, they're still above ICO price, still doing great things, and having big news, big partnerships, and even other projects work with them, really just shows the value of us really picking great projects.
What is the percentage of your post ICOs that are in that space that are higher than the ICO price? The percentage of your projects that you've helped
I would say,
or that you've chosen?
I would say about 80% in terms of our investments.
And the market agrees with you.
Oh yeah.
What is it about now what you're doing for clients and projects? Do you work with everybody? I mean, they're like, hey, here's a swag of cash, help us
No.
promote, help us
Absolutely
market.
not. I mean, for example, I had a project offer me $3 million to advise them, and I said no,
Why?
because the project didn't listen. I told them you need to change this about your token sale, but to them it was about really doing what they wanted to do, and I said if you don't want me to really advise you, then I don't want to be an advisor to this project.
How integral right now is credibility, reputation of your very young firm, right? What is it that you are telling the market and telling the industry about 100X Advisors? How are you passing their sniff test?
Absolutely. We built the company based on Ian Bellina's, morals, brand, and we came into agreement, understanding that we're going to be very transparent. We're not going to, just inorganically chill a project just to make money. We get tons of emails. We screen probably about 40 projects every day asking, take our money and promote our project because we have a big following, but we don't do that. We go through the metrics. Token Metrics, which was founded by Ian, every single project we invest in has to score above an 80% to even consider investing or advising. So these are projects that kind of the public sees as decent projects. They have a good cap, good token supply, all the metrics align. And those are the type of projects we kind of like to work after we've done technical reviews. Then we go forward to kind of talking about advising or possibly investing.
Diego, talk about the investment strategy a little bit.
Okay, so first of all, we don't like to invest more than 10% of our portfolios into projects. We do an in-depth research on these projects. We'll make sure that everything is legit. All-Star team has to check out prototype. Hard cap needs to make sense, token metrics. And then once we like the project, we go ahead and further advise them with building a community. You got to understand, some of these CEOs are mainly developers, and they don't have much knowledge within the ICO space. And then since this is what we've been doing for the past 2 years, this is where we come in and kind of match hand in hand with our services.
Do you think it's wise to invest in ICOs right now in this current bear market?
Yes, right? Because if you look at the actual data, good projects are still staying above ICO price and actually having positive returns, right? So we have projects this year like PrinDX, Lumax, QuirkChain, Mainframe, 4 projects this month, all been above ICO price.
But of course you
and
would
still-
say that because you've got skin in the game. You
Right.
depend on the market to participate in
Right.
order for these
I mean,
ICOs
I
to...
would say that number-wise, you're more likely to lose money, but if you're doing your research and finding the real projects that have real tangible value, you're less likely to lose money, even in a bear market. Because our philosophy is a good project makes money regardless of the market. It's the bad projects that really tank in a bad market.
So one would say that 2017, 2018 is the year for ICOs, right?
Yes.
People are saying that 2019, 2020 will be the year of STOs. What are your thoughts on security token offerings?
I think it definitely does have a place in this market.
Yeah.
It definitely has value. Not this year, but next year maybe there's some potential, I
Yeah.
believe. I think the main issue with that is really liquidity, right? For investors to start putting capital into STOs, there has to be really an infrastructure available and exchanges available, right? So I know lots of different projects are trying to solve that issue.
This is much more regulated environment for STOs. Do you have the confidence, the backing of the legal knowledge or anything like that that allows you to have the confidence of advising in STOs?
At this stage in time, not really, right? But we haven't really explored advising STOs at the moment. If that's something we end up doing down the road, we'll definitely have to get people who have more expertise around us.
We've seen massive growth in crypto funds showing long-term optimism. Funds specializing in cryptocurrency opening at a record rate. We've got 96 crypto hedge funds, VC funds launching the first 7 months of 2018. I mean, these numbers are incredible. The average of 3 opening every week. Okay. So do you think it's necessary for all of these funds to be in this space right now?
I mean, this just shows optimism from the funds, right? They see the utility within crypto. They understand the value that it brings. And they understand that it's a marketplace that is very profitable. Eventually, the market is going to get saturated. And at the end of the day, you know, the capital is there. And how to make yourself different is by staying relevant in this crypto space. If you stay relevant and you have other values to add other than just capital, you will get into the good projects, and you will eventually kind of be subdivided into the elite, so to say.
Okay, so there are elites getting into the space. There's more of the traditional kind of financial experienced guys who are diving into the space. They're licensed. There's licensed crypto funds. There's advisory firms out there. There's hedge talent out there. How do you guys compare to that talent? Some people might say, hey, you guys are really in early adopters of the crypto game, but when it comes to breadth and depth, these guys know how to do it better. How would you respond to that?
I would
criticism?
respond, yes, they do bring value, right? So funds like Sequoia Capital and other funds getting into crypto, they definitely do have lots of value from experience in venture capital. However, I would say they're still adapting and trying to evolve to this space. This space is different. This isn't anything like they've worked with before, right? So we, in a way, we kind of have a first mover advantage being early in crypto and actually investing, right? So we've done over 60 investments in the last 1 year, right? And that's really knowledge you can't really just buy or just get from having prior experience. It's something that you have to go out there and just kind of learn from failure.
Are you guys getting poached right now?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And just to add to Ian's, the way we differentiate ourselves from other funds and values that they bring is we're innovating. We're constantly innovating. Ian is the mastermind, right? That's what we like to call him. And basically right now we're doing the Ian Bellina Crypto World Tour. And the idea is everywhere we go around the world, we travel with a purpose, right? We meet the audiences, and the ICOs that we advise, we bring them on stage, give them the platform to generate that global scale exposure that they want, right? So by bringing relevancy to their ecosystem, we really differentiate ourselves.
And just to add on to that, right, it's actually, I'll make a big announcement here I've not really made anywhere else. So after the Ian Bellina Crypto World Tour is over, it's going to be rebranded to the 100X Advisors World Tour. So think of this as the traveling Shark Tank. We're willing to put our own resources to travel the world to find the best projects, no matter where they are, and give them a platform to really go global, which most funds who are new to the space aren't really doing, right? So for example, imagine us going to my home place, Kampala, Uganda, or in Accra, Ghana, or Tel Aviv, Israel, and finding entrepreneurs building the next big technology in this space who may initially be missed or passed on by other VCs because they aren't in Silicon Valley, they aren't in the right location. We're coming to them and giving them a platform to be discovered by the world.
Does that change your investment strategy a little bit? You know, at the end of the day, if you are pay to play, how does the audience differentiate between you actually believing in the project
What do you mean
versus,
pay to play?
well, if they're your clients, right? If you're bringing them on board as an advisor, there's a relationship there, right?
Well, I mean,
How do they pass your sniff test, and how do Does your audience believe that sniff test?
So before we even advise any project, we have to first invest in them.
Right, so you
Right.
put money
Yeah,
in their
so
project.
we only advise projects we believe in, where we have skin in the game, right? So
What's the minimum buy-in for any blockchain project that you participate with?
in terms of investing,
Yep.
I mean, we invest anywhere from
2 to 3 starting.
2 to 3 million, even more. I would say, depending on how much money they're raising, right? But we can invest 2 to 5 million, even more, depending on the cap, right? But one thing we've said from day one is we're not here just to advise projects, right? This is more of us really investing in projects that we actually believe in and then wanting to help them out.
Okay, so we've talked about this already. For the general audience who's just getting into understanding blockchain projects with the underlying project itself having fundamental value beyond tokens and ICOs, okay? But we're in the token and ICO space. What if there's no MVP? What if there is a white paper only to review?
We don't touch those.
You guys don't touch those. Do you advise
No,
the...
no way. I mean, because I built my brand and everything I invest in and my criteria is very open and transparent.
Yeah,
So for me to go against that publicly
yep.
would just destroy my brand.
How do you maintain or refute conflict of interest? How do you address conflict of interest?
I think you just have to be very honest and transparent, and if something conflicts with something, then you can't really do that, right? For example,
Give me an example, yeah.
recently I just joined KuCoin as the global brand ambassador,
Yeah,
right? And once we're here in Hong Kong, all the exchanges hit us up, knowing Ian Blaine is in town, inviting all of us, or me, to their offices. I said no, because that's a possible conflict of interest, right? Because I'm now a brand ambassador for this particular exchange. How would it look for me to go to your offices?
Do you think when influencers receive advisory tokens that you can remain unbiased?
No, I mean, I think there's definitely a vested interest, right? But I think personally, for me, even before getting any kind of advisory tokens, I have to actually believe in the project and put my own money in it, right? So I'm not just losing free money, I'm losing my own hard-earned money.
How do you guys feel about that? Even approached personally outside of 100X?
I would definitely echo some of the things Ian said as well. You know, it just depends. It varies to me. But I would say for whatever marketing purposes, as long as it aligns with what 100X is doing, then I'm kind of open to entertaining the idea. I like to not be involved in a position where there's a conflict of interest or accepting something that kind of goes outside the brand that we built, because we're focused on the long-term overview, not trying to take short-term gratification.
So that leads me to ask, how long are your long-term projects? How short of a duration have been some of your shortest projects? Have you exited any projects?
Completely.
Yeah.
No.
You're
Typically,
still-
I mean,
on.
as a brand, because this has only been around for 1 month, right? But personally, yes. I mean, there are some projects where the data points change, or the team really doesn't keep their word and really deceives investors.
Yeah.
Projects like that, where with new data points, we definitely do change our perspective on a project. But projects where everything has kind of stayed true, the team has kept their word and what they're working on, we don't.
Absolutely. Well, once the project meets our criteria, once we review the white paper, the technical analysis, and we decide that this is definitely a project that's innovative and we want to invest, obviously we invest. But then once the project launches, it's really out of our hands. You know, the CEOs of these companies are the ones running the projects. And so if we see that there's mismanagement within their ecosystem, of course we have to take care of our capital as well and know when to pull out of certain projects. So I have exited out of multiple projects that I've invested personally, but I am also holding the projects that have good administration at the moment.
But I mean, I'll just add to that, right? So the projects we personally do end up selling or getting out of,
Yeah.
almost always is because the team did not keep their word, right? They take investors' funds claiming one thing, claiming X, Y, and Z. Then after they take the funds, they don't really live up to what they said they were going to do.
Are you holding or are you doing some profit taking?
Both. I mean, to us, taking profits is healthy, right? Especially in crypto, where it's very volatile, right? So one of our rules is to take out an initial investment after it's been profitable. So for example, over a 3x return,
So
you
you
take out some
take-
initial capital.
You take out principal,
Then the
but
rest
you
is
keep
there
the
long-term.
rest to do its job, right? What do you recommend to investors who've invested in projects below IPO price? Would you sell or hold or double up and buy more? And of course, this is not financial advice,
Yeah.
full disclaimer, but just curiously interested in your personal opinion as an investor, how you would
So
do
if a
it.
project is below ICO price, personally, I never double down, right? But I do look at the actual market and say, is the project down based on the team's management and what they're doing, or because the entire market is down? If it's because the entire market is down, then I believe in the project long term. But if I see, okay, the market is stagnating or is doing all right, but this project is just getting dumped on, why is that happening? Right? Then I talk with the team founders typically and try to see what's happening, right? So if I feel that the team is not really keeping its word to the community, or they're mismanaging funds, or really just kind of going off the deep end and doing something totally different, right? Then most likely I'll just get out.
So there's this recent trend of VCs selling some of their seed allocation to unaccredited investors or syndicates and retail investors. What's your stance on that? How do you feel about that?
I don't like it.
Why not?
I mean, because first of all, I don't like projects that only raise money purely from VCs and funds, because I believe the whole ethos of this community is community, right? With blockchain, it's about decentralization, and having a large amount of whale investors, large investors, hold the entire tokens of a project isn't really giving value to the community, because as these projects are basically learning now from not really having prior experience in this space, is that sure, it's easy to raise money, but it's harder to build a community. And when retail investors or just regular people see that you aren't really giving them any respect and having them being part of your token event, right? They see, okay, this project doesn't really take care of its community. Why invest in this? Why be a part of this? Why build this?
So an important part is community building. One would say in financial terms, you're creating your own market,
Yes.
right? What kind of fiduciary responsibility do you have to the community?
Absolutely. We try to keep, as 100 Advisors entity, we try to keep the community very involved in the progress developments. We also try to be very transparent about the project. Even when we advise and the management team is not doing everything or not sticking to their word, we typically don't fail to disclose that. We stay transparent and open to the community completely. And also to add on to the point about VCs kind of, taking up all the allocations, I think another problem that I see with that is when it finally gets to an exchange, there's no demand for the token because everyone had access to pick it up OTC. So there's not that natural, demand that keeps a price up on the exchange. So I think, that whole model needs to evolve and come on to, doing crowd sales again, where as many people can get their hands on the token, because that's really what's going to drive the adoption and kind of take crypto mainstream.
Okay,
Well-
your end game. Last question. What do you guys actually want to achieve? You're a month old. This is baby firm. But when we see you in the walking phase a year from now, where do you envision 100X Advisors to be?
I want to help as many people as possible just change their lives financially. I want to give people financial freedom, and we've been blessed enough to have the current knowledge right now based on our previous 2-year trajectory in the crypto space to have success primarily, and if we can just pass down the knowledge to the next generation that's coming up and help them become financially free, I think that's really what's going to fulfill me as an individual.
There's no guarantee, though. There's a lot of risk. You could lose it all.
Absolutely. The way I like to see crypto is crypto has the utility is there, and I always repeat this, but I compare crypto to the email era, right? Back in the early 90s, the email was new. You no longer had to write a letter, put it on a plane and send it, wait a week. It was an instant delivery of mail. And the utility was there, but not a lot of people had computers, right? And so that's kind of like how I like to compare cryptocurrency nowadays. It's not massively adopted just yet, but once it does become part of our everyday society, we won't be able to live without it, right? Where else in the world on a Sunday night at 1 a.m. can you send $10 million from US to Hong Kong and cash out the next day?
But that's really scary, though. that's really scary for a lot of regulators, a lot of governments, and a lot of traditional third-party players. All the
Absolutely.
big banks and all the institutions, an entire industry is predicated on exactly what you're talking about. Where do you see crypto in 5 years if it continues on this trajectory?
I see crypto actually going mainstream in 5 years. I see, being the apps, the applications and everything being easy to use, just kind of, the internet. I feel like in the next 2 years, with regulation cracking down and everything, I think crypto is going to be, the future. And us as 100X advisors, we want to constantly evolve and change with the market situation, and we want to be at the forefront of this amazing technology, development. We want to be the go-to guys people come to, to help advise and structure token sales and, help companies, thrive in this new technology that I believe is the future.
So Ian, I know that you are renowned for being an evangelist, but also transparent and candid. So I'm going to ask you to put on your pessimistic hat
Okay.
as you take a look at this industry. If we are to get to where Ugo has explained 5 years from now, mass adoption, what needs to happen that you're worried about? If these 3 things don't happen, we can't get there. What are the things that you are worried about?
Security. That's what, as somebody who's been hacked before, right? So I feel like if anybody who's not really tech savvy is to adopt this new technology, it has to be a lot easier to use, right? So imagine my mom, my dad, a teenager using this technology. And right now I feel like it's still for techies, right? It's still technical. You have to send money or tokens via a Ethereum or whatever hexadecimal addresses, basically long addresses. It has to be so simple to use that anybody could use it, right? So I have to say the user experience has to be easier to use. And if that does not happen, there'll definitely be a huge barrier to entry.
But also you're seeing the bear market right now because regulators are not sure about this space. China has clamped down on exchanges. There's just different
Yes.
jurisdictions that are making it illegal or...
I'll definitely add regulation to that, right?
Right.
Like the SEC, for example, they definitely have to approve the ETF if this is to ever go mainstream, right? So regulation has to really give it its blessing.
But they also must protect the public's interest, which is why they are there. They
Right.
have to protect the health of the economy. And right now, there's not enough information or belief of this new world being able to be the stable foundation of a future economy.
I would say the belief, yes, right now, but we can definitely see regulators are warming up to it, right? So I think by 5 years, there'll definitely be more standards and better protocols for regulation around this to a point where they'll definitely adopt this.
Final question, who's doing the best right now in the world when it comes to regulatory space?
Oh, wow. That's a tough one. I would say, I think Malta. Malta has really been innovative and is really getting a first mover advantage to a point where exchanges like Binance and even other exchanges we're talking to are almost moving the entire business operations to Malta, right? So I would say Malta, Switzerland, those have kind of been at the forefront of this space.
Who's the Everest when it comes to regulatory space? When you get that guy, everybody will fall in
SEC.
line. All right.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. That was 100X Advisors sitting down with Forecast News. I'm Angie Lau. Thank you for joining us. See you next time.
Thank you.